Hello friend, welcome back. In our all previous video here, we are able to successfully add new tasks. We are able to successfully complete these tasks, and also we are able to successfully delete this task, right? Now in this video, I want to complete this total part in our local storage. That means when you add any new data, then this data will be inserted in our local storage. So from to the local storage, we'll delete this data, and also we make it as a completed. So if you want to do that work for doing this, if you go to our UI, into this UI from to this prototype, we'll add this data, right? In particular data position, we add this data before. Now I want to add all the data in our local storage. So, and for the local storage, I have already created another file, and that is the local storage, right? That is a local storage.js. So our first work is we have to include, right? We have to include this local storage from here. I have already export that ls, that means the local storage. We have to input it in our UI, because from to this prototype we insert this data, right? We have add this data before. Now I want to include it. So if you want to include, then what exactly you have to do? Then first of all, that will be import. Okay, import, and then our name as a ls, and then that will be the from, right? So that will be the from, and from our which position, that is, it will be the same place. That means the dot, and then our name as a local storage.js. Okay, I simply load it. And now I want to create another object. Okay, I want to create another local storage object. So after this, I want to name it as a constant. So I want to take one of the variable as a constant variable, and I name it as a ls. Okay, and then I want to create another object as a new, and then our ls object. So I simply created this object. Okay friend, here I simply created one of the object for our local storage. And now I want to add another prototype. Okay, here after this, in our this function area, here to this function area, I want to add another prototype, and I just name it as a ls. And then I want to do with this ls, I want to add another prototype, and I just name it as a store task. Okay, store task. So that is a store task. So into this store task area, here I want to pass out this task. Okay, that means when we add this, I have already discussed about that things with you. Now I simply pass it in with the parameter as the area as a task. Now we have to create this prototype in our ls. Now go to our ls. That means that is our ls, right? So I want to do right now, we don't need this. I want to add our this name as a ls, and then our prototype, right? So into the ls, that is our prototype name. I have already created one of the prototype name in our UI as a store task. I want to add that as a store task. Okay, so into this store task, that will be as a function. I simply loaded one of the function. Okay, I simply loaded the function. Our first job is we have to check it, is there have any data in here or not. Before I have already discussed about that, this type of one of the things, like first of all we have to check it, and also all that our there stores data, that will be one of the JSON data, right? We have to change it, we have to convert it to the array data. So if you want to convert it to the array data, then we have to use it as a JSON first, right? So I want to first of all I want to complete this part. Here I want to declare another one. Okay, I want to declare another prototype. I just name it as a ls, and then that is our prototype. Okay, just simply understand what exactly the things I am doing in here. So I take one of the prototype name as a fetch. Okay, fetch task. It will be get all that our data. So if you want to get this data, then that will be as a function, and with this function I want to call it, and then that will be I want to get all that items. So if you want to get this item, there is another method as a get item, right? So I take one of the variable, I name it as a task. So now I want to do in our local storage. So into this local storage, I want to get all that our item, and I want to check it with this as a is there have any task or not. Okay, I make it as a task. So is there have any task or not? With this it should be check it. Okay, it should be check it, and it should be take that things all the data in here in our this variable. Now also we have to change it, because as I told you, when you store any data into the local storage, that will be one of the JSON format data, right? Now we have to get this data and we have to convert it. So I have already get all the data. So that means in our local storage with this get item, I get all the data. I take the things with this variable. Now I want to change it, and all the data right now into the JSON format data, right? I want to change it. That means if I want to put another if condition, if there have any data, right? If there have any data, then I want to change it, right? So that will be our with this task. Okay, with this task I want to change it. That will be as a JSON which method as a first method. So now with this first method, our JSON data will be converted to the array data, right? So I simply take the things in here. So all that our data in our that position, that means this data, it should be parsed. Now that will be our JSON data converted to the array data, right? And else, okay, sorry, that will be as a else, and else it should be I want to pass one of the empty object. Okay, that means our task into this task area I want to pass one of the empty object. Simple work. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. And now from to this position I want to return it. That means return. So that will be the return. I want to return our this task. Okay, I simply return this task. Okay, great. And now we have to work in particular that position. So that is our prototype I have already declared in our UI, right? So that is our storage data and all that our storage data, right? So that is our all that storage data. I pass it with this parameter as a task. Now we have to take it. I want to pass it into this function area. So that is our task. So right now all the task is in here, and also first of all we have to check it, right? We have to check it. I have already created another prototype as a fetch task. Now first of all I want to access it. So if you want to access it, then what exactly you have to do? Better I take one of the variable. I just name it as a task. Okay, I name it as a task, and then if you want to access another there is another prototype in here. So right now then we have to use it with the this keyword. Remember there is a this keyword, and then our fetch task method I simply access it. Great. And now with this automatically we will be check it. If there have any data, then that will be converted. Rather than now I want to store this data, right? If you want to store this data, and that will be stored into the first position. For the reason there is another method as an unshift method. Remember now into this task area. Okay, into this task area I want to use that as an unshift. Okay, unshift method. I simply call this unshift method, and into this unshift method area here I want to pass our this all storage data, right? So that is our another storage data. That means in our UI, so that is our storage data. Okay, so here I simply loaded that things in here into this unshift. That means our last data will be inserted first. Okay, I simply load it. Great. And now we have to store this data. So if you want to store this, then in our local storage, all the data will be as a JSON format data, right? So now into this local storage, I want to do with the set item method, I want to store our which data. I want to store our this task data, right? Here I want to store this task data, and also here we have to convert it, because that will be on the JSON format data. So that will be the JSON and then stringify, right? That is stringify. With this stringify I want to stringify our which data. I want to stringify our this task data, right? So that is our task data. I simply stringify it. Great. So I hope every line, every part is very much clear to you. Okay, so it's very easy, all that process. I have already done all that fundamental as I told you that will be needed, and now you can see how much easily we can do that work. Now if you want to check it, click as a save all, and now if you go right now our local storage is empty. I want to add new one as a high Aryan. Okay, I name this as a high Aryan. Now if you click as a add task, yes, you can see it's now successfully add this task. You can see there is a task. If you select it, you can see it's converted to the array. So there is an ID is now successfully added. There is completed as a false, and title as a high Aryan. Okay, so right now this task is stored successfully into this local storage, right? And you can see that is our task, and that is our all that object array data. That means right now we are successfully able to insert this data in our local storage. Now we have to make that is you can see that is also one of the is completed as a false. Now we have to make it as a selected, and also we have to delete it, right? So how can do that work? But I want to continue this process in our next video. I will show you that things with the live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.